But those are the two that we bounced this off of. Throwing in the information that I heard and the information that's on Twitter, on X, and putting everything in and comb through the internet to find any info you can to try to piece this thing together. So essentially, the following information is pulled by AI from several different articles written recently by Tom Silverstein, right? Acme Packing Company, which is Justice Makeda, I believe, works there, if I remember correctly, and Sports Illustrated. So here's the latest information we're coming up with, and I'm trying to include tweets as well. You guys make sure you go give Justice a follow over there on X at JUMOSQ. If you're following me on there, I'm sure you're already following him, but if you're not, make sure to go give him a follow. He put this tweet out 12 hours ago. John Harbaugh, $100 million. Ben Johnson, $65 million. Liam Cohen, $60 million. Packers offer for Matt LaFleur, ballpark, $38 million. Packers pivot for Jeff Hafley, ballpark, $35 million. So let's read that on the surface, okay? And again, I don't think he's saying these are hard numbers. This is the exact offer. They're trying to piece this together too, so don't take my word for it. Go ask Justice on X, right? Go read his articles. I got the article right there. You can see it. Just go to Acme Packing Company, Matt LaFleur's news. It's right there at the top, all right? So make sure you guys go check it out for yourself and see if you're coming away with the same type of thing. Now, when you read that on the surface, am I the only one that looks at that and go, what the hell are we doing, right? I'm going to try to keep my opinion out of it because I just want to give you guys the facts and let you guys draw your own conclusion, okay? So again, that tweet to an article there right now. Let's bounce back. Last night, the Giants are finalizing a 5-year deal with John Harbaugh that is expected to be around $20 million per year, making him one of the top paid coaches in football. He'll have massive power in the organization, something a coach hasn't had with the Giants in quite some time. So it sounds like, I think I put another tweet in there, which we'll talk about on the backside. It sounds like he's asking for roster control. In Green Bay, it sounds like they haven't allowed Matt to have any roster control, right? That's Goody's job, and they're all on an equal playing field, but Goody has the final say in the roster, although Matt puts in input. Goody puts in input on the coaching, although Matt has the final say on how you coach, right? Goody does have the final say in the 53-man roster, although Matt's bouncing, hey, I'd rather have this guy, or this guy, right? And that's why you don't know all the details behind the scenes when it comes to how the roster's structured. But just point out, John Harbaugh is kind of the top candidate right now, right? Because Matt LaFleur isn't available. He's asking for 5 years, $20 million per. He's not asking for it. It sounds like the Giants agreed to this. Well, what's the holdup? It sounds like the holdup may be that John Harbaugh is holding out for another opportunity, okay? Just kind of letting the dust settle a little bit, if you will. I just retweeted a video that went out from NFL Insiders, okay? And you guys can go check that out on X. But is he holding out for the Green Bay job? That's the question, right? So I put a poll question up on X. I wanted to do it on YouTube. If you guys can bear with me for a second, I hate the dead air, but I'd like to put this poll question up in YouTube, okay? So just bear with me. I'll try to mumble here for a second as I get the question up. I'm going to pose it exactly the same way as I did on X, so there's nothing different here, okay? It's being reported John Harbaugh wants roster control. Packer fans, which scenario would you prefer, okay? So, again, this is a part of a report. I'll talk about where that report came from here in just a second. Let me get these options up here because I really want to get your all's take as well. And don't let me forget before we wrap up to check this poll because we're going to get through all this information in rapid fashion and get you guys out of here. I know y'all are excited to get back to work. Don't kid me. You would rather be working right now than talking Packers. I know that's true. So, all right, I think we got it up. All right, cool. So, again, here's the poll question. You guys can see it on YouTube. It's being reported John Harbaugh wants roster control. Packer fans, which scenario would you prefer? Harbaugh plus roster control, or would you prefer LaFleur with the current structure, meaning kind of equal say, if you will, in the roster? Okay, so let's move along. Here's all the information that's comprised from those articles that we talked about and everything that's on the internet, okay? Term versus salary. Here's the hang-up in negotiations. While the number of years is the primary sticking point, the financial gap is widening. LaFleur is reportedly seeking a deal 15 to 18 million per year range to join the league's elite earners. So again, he's asking for $5 to $2 million less than what John Harbaugh has reportedly been offered by the Giants. Okay, the lame duck factor. Incoming President Ed Policy wants to avoid a lame duck season in 2026. However, the front office is hesitant to reset the coaching market after a season that ended in a disappointing collapse. Now, I want to give a shout out. I was listening to Jen Latta's show over on ESPN Milwaukee this morning, just seeing if any other information broke. I usually don't agree with Gabe Neitzel on there, okay? And I don't watch their show consistently, but when I have, it just seems like me and him are like oil and water. That doesn't mean I'm right and he's wrong or vice versa, right? We just usually don't agree. We are 100% in agreement with this. He brought it up and he's like, how come Goody's getting a pass here? Like, if the injuries aren't an excuse, then how come Goody gets a pass that the roster flopped the way it did with the backups, with the depth of the roster, right? To me, you guys know I've been vocal. It's about having the youngest roster in the league. I just want to mention that Chewy completely agreed. You know, Mark Chimura used to play tight end for the Packers. He completely agreed with Gabe. I'm telling you, my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, this is the first time I have agreed with these two guys on something so emphatically. So that was kind of weird to me, if you will, that we all agreed in that fashion. So I'm eager to see if the fans agree on the poll question. I put it up on X and YouTube. So the lame duck factor, we kind of talked about it, right? Staff ultimatum. Rumors suggest the Packers may be tying the money in years to a demand that LaFleur overhaul his staff, specifically regarding special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia. Now, John Kuhn came out yesterday and said everyone in the building, I'm pretty sure he said everyone, you guys go check the audio from him and Matt Schneidman's show. He said everyone in the building wants Rich back. Well, this report's saying that that's not necessarily the case, right? That they're wanting him to fire Rich Bisaccia. But here's the other thing. Forget Rich Bisaccia's name for a minute, whether you think he should be special teams coordinator or not. So now it's not only you don't have roster control while John Harbaugh is going to have roster control in New York, but also you don't even have control over picking your staff. We've kind of talked about this. There was rumors of this in the background. It seems like with the most latest reporting, that seems to be one of the ultimatums. So they're offering him less money, no roster control, and now he can't pick his own staff. So guys, it sounds like this thing might fall apart and we may be trading Matt LaFleur for a draft pick. I mean, unless something dramatically changes, right? Let's move along. Latest information, salary comparison, how LaFleur stacks up. Current status LaFleur currently earns. Keep in mind, Matt LaFleur, they've made the playoffs the last 3 years, right? With the youngest roster in the league. I'm always going to throw that out there. If that pisses you off, this ain't the show for you because the facts matter. The fact that people are like, well, it's not about making the playoffs. I get it, but at some point you've got to add a few more veterans so you don't have the youngest roster in the league so you can go on a run in the most clutch situations. It is what it is. That's just my opinion as a fan. So $8 and $9 million annually is what's reported that he earns. So you've had Matt LaFleur for the last 3 years making reportedly somewhere in the ballpark of $8 million per year. Let's just call it $9 million per year. Well, we all agree that he's been underpaid. Comparatively speaking to Sean Payton, $18 million a year. Andy Reid got paid $20 million a year. Now, Andy Reid's won some rings, right? Andy Reid also missed the playoffs this year with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. Well, he had injuries. Oh, now the injuries matter. Got it. Because I was told that's not an excuse, right? It is what it is. Now, I'm not saying that Matt LaFleur's get paid more than Andy Reid. That is crazy talk. But Andy Reid, $20 million a year. Sean Payton, $18 million a year. Mike Tomlin he didn't get fired. I think it was the writing was on the wall. There were rumors he was going to get fired after they got their ass kicked by Houston. You know, keep in mind, we had an epic collapse in the second half with our defense against the Bears, but we lost by how many points? Mike Tomlin got boat raced by the Texans in the playoffs. He's making $16 million per year. When was the last time Mike Tomlin won a playoff game? Been a while, right? Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, $16 million per year. Sean McVay with the Rams, $15 million per year. I understand if the argument is Matt LaFleur should not make more money than Sean McVay. I get that. Sean McVay's got a ring. Sean McVay, keep in mind too, our general manager went in the opposite direction and went youngest roster in the league 3 years in a row. When the Rams won the Super Bowl, what did they do? F them picks. They went all in, won a Super Bowl, had 1 year setback, and now they're right back in the hunt again. But again, like they were saying on Jen's show this morning, but Goody gets a pass. Just saying. I don't want Goody fired, but boy, oh boy. It just seems like something's a little off. So here's the gap. Despite having a 654 winning percentage, LaFleur is currently making significantly less than division rivals like Chicago's Ben Johnson, who's making $13 million per year. His request for $15 million plus would finally align his pay with his regular season success. Now, the organizational perspective that's being reported here, okay? Stability versus premium pay. The Packers are weighing LaFleur's 76-40-1 record justifies top 5 money, or is it the 3-6 playoff record suggests they should hold firm on a lower offer? And this is where I part ways with this whole opinion. If the 3-6 playoff record bothers you that bad while having the youngest roster in the league here, if that bothers you that bad, then just move on. Trade him. Trade while his stock is at the top. You understand that his stock is never going to be higher than it is right now. And if you as an organization are saying to him, you're not the guy, we don't want to pay you like the guy, we don't think you're the guy, we don't want to pay you market value, but you're too chicken shit to trade him because, oh, well, what if he is? Boys, that is a recipe for disaster. And it's something else I agree with the guys on the show. Now, Jen pushed back a little bit. She disagreed, but they're going, you don't want to go in with a lame duck coach. I mean, that just creates it makes everything unstable within your organization. She didn't seem to think it was as big of an issue. And hey, who knows? Maybe she's right. But like they said, historically speaking, when you've done that, boy, nothing good's come out of that for a head coach, right? Or for a team in general. Market pressure, if an agreement isn't reached, LaFleur would likely be the top target for teams like the Dolphins or Falcons, who would likely be willing to meet his $15 million plus asking price. So you've got at least 2 other teams. John Eric Sullivan, who just left the Packers, he would swoop Matt LaFleur up so quick. And doesn't this kind of explain, guys, why they didn't just hire Jeff Hafley right off the bat when he's the odds-on favorite to get that job? It kind of feels like they're waiting to see if the Packers want to trade Matt LaFleur, and what if they traded him to the Dolphins and now the Packers hire Jeff Hafley, right? Well, here's the plan B. According to the reporting by Justice Mosqueda, again, you guys go give him a follow, of Acme Packing Company, the Packers' current negotiation stalemate with Matt LaFleur has led to speculation about internal alternatives and the potential financial cost of a leadership change. So here comes the Jeff Hafley factor and potential coaching cost. The internal candidate, Mosqueda, notes that I hope that spelled his name right there when we typed this. I think I got that right. I apologize, Justice, if I got that wrong. Notes that the Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley could be viewed as a potential successor if the organization cannot reach an agreement with LaFleur. The projected price tag regarding the financial implications of such a move, Mosqueda writes, if the Packers wanted to go to Hafley, they would probably get him at the $5 to $6 million range. And again, you guys go read his articles, make sure that's exactly how it was worded, how it was said. AI pulled this information, okay? The financial logic, this figure would represent a massive discount compared to the $15 million to $18 million annual salary LaFleur is reportedly seeking, though it would come with the inherent risk of hiring a first-time NFL head coach. Rumors suggest the hangup is the Packers only want to extend him, listen to this, by 2 years, while LaFleur is seeing lesser coaches get 5 years. So the rumors are saying the true hangup is they might be willing to give him closer to that 10 to 15 million range, which is still less than what John Harbaugh is getting paid or has potentially been offered, right? But we only want to give you 2 years. Guys, to me, if I'm Matt LaFleur, 2 years equals no deal. There ain't no way I'm taking a 2-year deal. When you're seeing John Harbaugh get 5 years, $100 million plus roster control, that is absolutely insanity. So again, it's like they don't want to come out and say it. It's almost like the organization wants Matt to come out and say, I want to be traded. That's really, really strange. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. To me, that feels like they don't want him, but they don't want to come out and publicly say we don't want Matt LaFleur. I think because they're scared that Matt LaFleur may go somewhere else and have the success he's had here with another, maybe even more success with a roster that maybe he has a little more say in that isn't the youngest roster in the league. Listen, this Packers team is loaded with talent. It's absolutely loaded with talent, right? We know that. Goody's done a good job, I feel like, picking talent. His biggest knock is not bringing in veterans to kind of shore up the roster. When Micah Parsons goes down, if it's not an excuse for Matt LaFleur to not be able to win games when Micah Parsons goes down, then it's not an excuse for Brian Gutekunst to not have better depth behind him. That makes sense. So that's just kind of how I see that. What's next? A time limit on talks. Insiders warn that a resolution must happen quickly. The longer negotiations linger, the higher the risk of parting ways before the 2026 coaching carousel stops. All right. So I just put this tweet out real quick here. One aspect of the LaFleur contract that I feel isn't being mentioned as much. If Ed Policy is not only refusing to offer Matt LaFleur market value, but also potentially changing the structure where he has less say in his staff and Gutekunst has more, that explains why he's looking around the league. Maybe this isn't a fit. Reports are suggesting John Harbaugh got the 5 years, $100 million. If you don't want him, is what I meant to say there, then trade him now while his stock is hot. If you do want him, pay him market value so he can improve his staff before everyone gets hired. To me, it's just a bad look. So again, like all these guys they're interviewing for OC, DC, all these different spots, and we're stuck at, we want you really cheap, but we don't want you at the market price. It's mind-boggling to me. So let's compare the two coaches here real quick. John Harbaugh and Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur has a .654 winning percentage at 16th all-time. Plus, he's made the playoffs the last 3 years. Keep in mind, while making the transition from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. Not only is this about winning games, but it's about who's better with your quarterback. Who has John Harbaugh had? Two-time MVP Lamar Jackson, right? Okay, let's bounce back to Matt LaFleur. Making the playoffs 6 out of his last 7 seasons. So Matt LaFleur, in his 7 seasons as coach, has made the playoffs 6 of the 7 seasons. I think those numbers are right? He's been here for 7 seasons, I believe. If it's 6, he's made it 5. He's only missed the playoffs 1 year. John Harbaugh, .614 winning percentage is 36th all-time. So Matt LaFleur, 16th all-time in NFL history in winning percentage. John Harbaugh, 36th, 20 spots lower. John Harbaugh missed the playoffs this year. And keep this in mind. Over the last 13 years that John Harbaugh has been the head coach for the Baltimore Ravens, again, over a decade, 13 years. In the last 13 years, he has only made the playoffs 7 of the past 13 years. I'm no mathematician, but if you doubled the amount of years that LaFleur has been here and you took it from, let's say, 7 to 14, let's just say 12 years, right? That would suggest, at the rate that LaFleur is going, that Matt LaFleur would make the playoffs. Let's just take it to 14 years. 12 out of the 14 years, he would make the playoffs. Harbaugh, in that same similar time span in 13 years, has only made the playoffs just a little bit more than 50% of the time. I don't know, boys and girls. I don't know. I don't see what the infatuation is with John Harbaugh. But it sounds like he might be holding off just a little bit on the Giants job in case the Packers decide they want to trade Matt LaFleur. And if they trade Matt LaFleur, do they make an offer to John Harbaugh? Now, you remember when John Harbaugh first got fired, it's just wild that he got fired and they missed the playoffs. Like, he got fired, right? One of the first reports was Adam Schefter coming out and talking about how John Harbaugh's agent is Bob Harlan's son. Bob Harlan is royalty in Green Bay. He pointed that out. So if you think for a second there's not some back channel communication going on with other head coaches, I think Ed Policy's doing that right now. And if you're Matt LaFleur, put yourself in Matt LaFleur's shoes, right? If you're Matt LaFleur, what are you doing? What do you, if you,